Welcome, I'm the Deadwood Jedi. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video, and we are in the test server again. This will probably be our last appearance here, but we are going to be looking at Tuhanarak, one of the new legendary champions, Void Legendary Champion, and seeing how good she is, where you can use her. Now, I will preface this off by saying, I do think she's good. Is she God tier? No, I don't think so. She's got some really interesting things in her kit, though, that make her very usable in a lot of areas of this game. And I kind of look at her as kind of that glue champion that kind of makes everybody else kind of fit together depending where you want to use her. Because I can see her being maybe not excellent, but definitely viable in Arena, definitely viable in Doomtower, definitely viable in Clan Boss. Is she excellent or the top tier in any of those places? No, I don't think she is. But she does make a lot of those teams a little bit more unique to build. And I think that's a good thing, right? That's what I like anyway, are champions that bring unique things to their kits and to your team. So there's a lot of people that are like, I don't know how good she's going to be. I was messing around with her on stream. There was a lot of people that were like not super into her, at least, you know, her kit. And there were some people that were like really into her. And I kind of understand. I can see both sides of that coin because she brings a lot of really cool stuff, but I don't know that she's going to be the best champion in any of those things. She reminds me a lot of champions like Blind Seer, who can be exceedingly good for you and will help you out throughout the game, but probably aren't going to be used that often at the top end of the game. You're going to have better options available for you. It's going to be the same thing with Tuhanarak. She's still really, really good, though. And I think she's going to be exceptional in Doomtower. I think you're going to see a lot of really good uses with her in there. And her kit's super cool. So there's going to be a lot of ways to like fully utilize her kit depending on the builds and the teams that you want to use. Now, I'm going to show her in my Doomtower teams. She's not going to be God tier in any of these. She's got to understand that. But she is a very, very good option. The runs are always long. It's Doomtower. I don't have like crazy OP team, so I'll definitely speed it up and play a little music so you can kind of see the run, but we can get through it a little faster. Now, she has some unique stuff to her kit. She has a speed buff on her A3 ability. That definitely takes a little bit of accommodation. So if you're going to use her with that speed buff skill in Clan Boss, you're going to be likely building a 2-1 ratio team, or at least accommodating that in the calculator. That is not something I've done yet. And because I don't have her in the calculator quite yet, if you do want to use her in the calculator, you can use a champion like Claude Beastfeeder to kind of simulate the skills that she's going to bring, at least the speed buff that she's going to bring. They both have it on a 3-turn cooldown with no turn meter increase. So there's lots of ways you can use her. You know, if you are building a 2-1 ratio, you can always use her instead of a Lydia, for example, and I think that might be an excellent way to go to bring a different variety of buffs. But it's enough of that. Let's go ahead. We'll take a look at her kit. First, I do want to let you guys know if you like the music. There's a sound stripe link down below. I want to shout out my patrons. I haven't done that in a couple of videos, and I have to because they are really the people that allow me to continue doing this, along with you all. When you subscribe, when you like these videos, it makes a big difference for me and allows me to keep doing this content for you guys, so I definitely appreciate that. Also, I want to say I have a game on video down below. I'm going to be looking at, I guess will be comparing her to her closest comparison champion, the champion that emulates what she does best, and that's going to be Doom Priest. They have very similar passive abilities and skills, and I'm going to explain why for certain teams you're probably going to actually prefer Doom Priest over Tuhanarak. And I think that'll be kind of interesting for you. So I'll go ahead and have all that down below in the comments and description of this video. Let's look at the champion. Okay, let me start off by just saying this is my favorite looking champion that we have in this game. First off, shout out to Plarium. They're putting a little diversity in the game. Maybe it doesn't matter to you. Maybe it doesn't matter to a lot of people. It makes a big difference to those of us that don't get to see ourselves in these games. It's really nice. So I just want to give them a little credit for that. They're bringing some more people of color into this game, different ethnicities. It's very nice. Also, she looks freaking amazing. Phenomenal. The dark skin, the beauty, the cheekbones, everything about this is great. I love the opalescent gem here that's kind of mirrored in the weapons there. There's just so much about her to like. She just really has a very cool, very African kind of look to her. And I really appreciate that. I think this is a great, 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 design. It always is, but I think this one especially, well, it spoke to me. Let's put it that way. But let's talk about her kit, and that's really what we're here for, right? How do we use her in this game? And I think there's going to be lots of ways to use her. Obviously, on her A1, she has a decreased speed debuff, which is so nice when you're facing bosses. She also has continuous heal that she places on herself for every one of those hits, as well as on an ally that has the lowest HP. That's a really nice combination right there. That can actually be really, really useful for you. One thing I forgot to mention, she's a defensive-based champion. You can build her tanky and she will hit harder. That's wonderful. I love it. Her A2 is a really nice skill too. Places decrease attack and block debuff for 2 turns, and then places debuff spread. Taking 2 random debuffs from the target and placing them on all enemies. That's super awesome, guys. This is the skill that makes her useful in Arena. You go in, you hit a champion with decreased attack and block buffs, and then you spread it all on that same hit. It's a really strong ability, and this skill seems to hit pretty hard. She's not a nuker. She's not going to be your damage-dealing champion. I did try her in Arena. She just doesn't hit that hard, but I will say, like, it is a nice skill to be able to apply that, spread it out on your enemies. It's really, really quality right there. And then her last one, her A3, increased defense buff and increased speed buff. This part of her kit, I think once we get a few weeks to actually play with her, some people start getting on their accounts, start messing with her in the calculator, you're going to see some awesome tunes using this ability. If we think about it, not only is she cleansing, right? And that is super important, right? Being able to cleanse skills all the time. But she's giving that increased defense buff, which is absolutely, positively essential. And it's on a 3-turn cooldown. If you have a Lydia build, like let's look at the Pavo team, right? Where you're having Krisk and Lydia, and between the two of them, you're getting to a 2-1 ratio, right? Well, in that team, you're using Lydia's ability to have decreased defense and weaken, and you're placing that up every turn. So you don't bring in a damage dealer like a Draco. Instead, you have Iron Brago, you have Valkyrie, and you have Brogni, Underpriest Brogni, right? So between them, you're getting your increased defense, you're getting your decreased attack, you're getting your shield buff, getting a lot of things out of that kit. Well, Tuhanarak brings your increased defense. She also brings your decreased attack, and she's bringing your increased speed. So you could bring in a Tuhanarak instead of a Lydia, and then bring in a Draco instead of an Iron Brago. It gives you more options there, right? As far as how you want to build your team. Now, Iron Brago has its own passes that are really good, but Tuhanarak will cleanse for you, and will cleanse for you every single turn, and that's because of this passive ability. This is the one that really makes her... This is the skill that's going to make her useful regardless of what level account you have. Regardless of how end game, how early game you are, she will be useful for you because of this. Because she will remove 1 random debuff from all allies at the start of each turn. And she'll even remove 2 if they're under continuous heal buff, which she places, right? And other champions do too. So that's pretty massive, actually. And so when you're able to put all of those things together, as long as you can tune it right so she goes at the top of the turn and can cleanse those debuffs, or at least goes ahead of your stun champion and can cleanse those debuffs, it gives you a lot more flexibility to build your teams out. And that's a big thing about these new champions, is having that flexibility. It's awesome. So I'm really excited to actually try some things out. I'm a little disappointed I haven't had time to actually build a unique clan boss team involving Tuhanarak that I can showcase for you today. But she's fantastic, and definitely somebody that we would want to look at for those types of builds. So I did a little regearing here, and I think we've got our stats to a more Doomtower appropriate level. 250 speed, kept the defense actually, kept the crit rate. The crit damage obviously went down, and our accuracy is still pretty high at 324. It's a little low for Ultranite, for like Doomtower, top levels of it, but it's not bad at all. We could put an accuracy chest piece on her, but I kind of want to keep the crit rate that we had. So, I wanted to keep the defense level that we had. I didn't want to lower it too much. We also have defense and crit rate on the boots. We just kind of swapped a few pieces around, basically, is what we ended up doing. So I think it works pretty good. I did finish out her masteries and gave her a life drinker, as well as, I should move myself over here. I gave her life drinker as well as cycle of violence here. Just to kind of fill out the masteries for her. Everything else I actually kind of like with her build. You can obviously take, some other things. You can take something that There's a couple other masteries that you could take, obviously, to get some more turn meter and stuff like that, but I think these are actually good masteries for her generally. So let's take her first into Spider. Now, so we're going to go ahead and take her into Spider here. We're going to take her into Agrath and Nether Spider. Now, remember I said her accuracy was a little bit on the lower side. I generally like to get about 350 accuracy, just so I can hit all the bosses. You can always go higher. Well, remember, she has that nice accuracy aura. Gotta love that, right? We have basically a bunch of healing in Manaya and in Reliquary Tender here. Reliquary Tender is also going to put up continuous heal buff. Remember what we said about removing 2 debuffs at a time when you have continuous heal up? That's a really nice thing. We're going to be able to block the healing from Manaya. Vogoth is going to help us stay alive. They're both going to help us heal. And then I have Mordecai in here just to place the HP burn. Now, we do have that debuff spread. So she's going to be able to spread that HP burn regardless of how long it really stays on. That's a very nice thing. In fact, so much so that if we didn't want to use Mordecai, we could easily bring in a Drexthar or somebody else to get that going. I really like Mordecai. He gives us a nice turn meter boost. He's a good champion for this, so we're going to keep him in there. Could even use Brogni in a single one, but we can get that spread out to all the little spiderlings. But let's go ahead. We're going to jump in. We'll try this out. Okay, we're back with the spider. I'm just going to get us set up and into it, and then we'll go ahead and work. And I can kind of talk through a little bit of what's going on. So obviously what we want is this HP burn, which we used, unfortunately. So in the meantime, we can do some speed abilities here. Right there, and then we're gonna get that increased defense and increased speed buff. That's really nice. We can get the cleanse here and the continuous heals from Reliquary Tender. That's gonna help a lot, and we can even go ahead and get that decreased healing out. Hopefully we didn't land it, unfortunately, for Manaya, which is always annoying. But yeah, and eventually one of the things we're gonna be able to do is put that block buffs on the Nether Spider, as well as putting out some of the other skills that like the decreased attack skill, and that's going to be this one right here. And this actually works really well. A really wonderful champion for the Nether Spider is Sethalia. She can basically solo this by herself. I mean, you know, if you build her right. But one of the things she does is she removes these counterattack buffs, right? Well, great thing about Tuhanarak is that she blocks the buffs. So that means they're not going, because what happens when you remove that the counterattack and ally protection goes on the Nether Spider, she takes less damage. Well, that's not an issue anymore. Just not an issue, which is great. So that's definitely an option there as far as trying to make this work. She also has a decreased speed for the spider himself, which is always really good. Now, you know, this is not the perfect team. I don't have decreased defense, I don't have weaken, so this run does take a little bit of time, and that's just going to be the thing. But hopefully the idea is that we sustain through it, and that's the part where I think we can, you know, hopefully it works really nicely. As you can see, we are, you know, doing a great job staying alive. There's no danger here with that. And I can just go ahead and click auto and let it run at this point now that we have everything on. And Tuhanarak is going to go ahead and spread those debuffs too. So like that decreased attack that isn't on the spiderlings, hopefully she spreads that to them. But it is always like a little bit of a crapshoot what debuffs are getting spread. She spreads 2 of them. They're random. They might already be on the other champions, so you don't really know how effective it's going to be. But, you know, because it happens every 3 turns, she's going to get some, they're eventually going to get on everybody. And that's really the key here. So you can kind of see we're able to do pretty good stuff. She keeps everybody alive. You know, a champion like Doom Priest is a good option for this, but Tuhanarak's kind of twice as good for this, because with that continuous heal, you can see she just removed both of the debuffs from her. Well, we almost made it to the end. You know, Tuhanarak, though, I think you can see, is pretty good about cleansing those debuffs, keeping your team fast and a little bit tanky. And those continuous heals were way more effective than I might have thought going into this. But, you know, the idea is, like, obviously you have to, it's a full 5-man team, right? She's not going to solo any of these. But what she is going to do is provide some assistance in getting these done. I did beat this earlier using, I used somebody else. I think I used Brogni instead of Manaya. So it's definitely doable, right? That's not really the issue. The question is, how useful is she? And I would say fairly useful. Although I never bring Doom Priest in there. There's too many debuffs for Doom Priest to cleanse by himself. And I think the same could be said for Tuhanarak. One area that I think would be really interesting is bringing Tuhanarak here into the Scarab, because again, she's going to cleanse those debuffs. She's also going to put block buffs on the Scarab. I think that's really nice as well. Okay, this is very similar to a team I would normally use, except I would not have Tuhanarak in. I would normally have Lysandra. That's kind of a big difference. But I'm hopeful with her speed, about 250, that she will go first in the comp order. She's going after Logic. Tuhanarak hopefully will go first or go after that in order to cleanse the debuffs on everybody else. We're going to see how this works. Haven't tried it. We'll see. Visix is great keeping that turn meter down, but we're definitely going to take some hits, and I actually think that's going to give us a better indication of how this should play. Okay, we're already here. Great. That went way faster than I was expecting. He got his shield up. Great. We can go ahead and put the decrease attack and block buffs up. This is huge for the Scarab because he loves to steal buffs. If we can prevent that, that makes a big, big difference. Now, we really do want Visix just using her A1 skill to reduce that turn meter. That's really all we're looking for here. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. Steals the buffs. Logic goes. That's totally fine. It's not going to be a big issue. And because he's got the block buffs, I'm actually not as concerned about him stealing buffs. So we can go ahead and get them prepared. Perfect. She cleanses them all. That's really great. We get some healing out. He didn't have the shield, just wasn't ready, unfortunately. And you can see we got all these provokes, all this problem going out there. But we are able to then get the shield up. Perfect. So even with that, he just took his turn there. Excellent, excellent. We can actually speed everybody up, which is really nice as well. Give us increased defense, help us stay alive even longer. We have the debuffs up on everybody. How are we going to respond? She goes, she cleanses. Didn't cleanse everybody. I was only able to cleanse one, so it's not like we were able to block everything. But we were able to block enough where Visix can go ahead and do her A1 skill right there. Yet again. And you can see this is a slow and steady type of team, but it looks like it can work. Now, if you can speed tune her, speed tune your team so that they're always going right, so she's going first right after the Scarab boss, that's the best way to do it, right? If you can do that, you're going to be in great shape. And that means she's going to be cleansing those debuffs off right at the top of her turn. You can even bring in a champion like Reliquary Tender to do that continuous heal. That means she'll be able to cleanse 2 of those debuffs off. That's going to be even bigger help, and I think be really, really useful for you. She brings a little bit of healing, which helps those champions that are a little squishier stay alive. That increased defense and increased speed buff are really, really massive, though. Those are the ones that I really like and think she has a lot of potential with. So definitely some potential there. Maybe not my favorite champion, but some good potential. All right, let's go ahead. I'll show you her in Arena really quick. This is a perfect team because they're too tough for us to kill, but they're not tough enough quite to kill us, and we have enough revive going on. And I'll give you an idea of what like Tuhanarak can do, right, when we're using this. Now, in this type of a team, our real goal is to put that block buffs up on everybody. That's kind of, you're using her almost like a Gurp Tuck, right? Gurp Tuck's going to be better because it's not an actual attack, so it doesn't trigger anything, but that's kind of the idea behind it. So we'll see how this kind of works for us. You can see right here, we can go ahead and get this block buffs and decrease speed. We can just go ahead and drop it on anyone. We can put it over here on. This is a pretty hard hitting skill. Let's remember that too. But let's go ahead and try and take out Duchess there. And you can see decrease attack, block buffs on everybody that's out there. It's kind of nice. Now, obviously in Arena, there's a lot of immunity gear that runs around. So a lot of immunity gear, a lot of cleansing type of things. There's a lot of other stuff that kind of, you know, alters that the strength of those skills. But, you know, that said, it's pretty great to be able to see that kind of result out there. You know, obviously she can do some work. Now, we can go decrease speed and continuous heal. We could put an increased speed buff and increased defense buff on ourselves. There's a lot of possibilities you can go here. Now, obviously we have, you know, Arbiter and Siffy. I don't think we need the increased speed. So we'll try decreasing the speed, see how that works for us. And, I mean, kind of useful, right? We're able to do some stuff with this. And eventually, actually, we're going to take out Duchess right now, which is great. So she can be pretty solid. She's obviously not going to, you know, I don't have her built perfectly for this, but this kind of give an idea of the skills she brings. You know, the other way you would use her, obviously, is in like a go second team. Like a lot of people use Doom Priest for this in Arena, where you're cleansing the debuffs the enemy's putting on you. And I think that's an excellent way to go with her. Absolutely fantastic. It's just, you know, how useful is that going to be? How practical is that? That's always up for debate and always kind of a difficult thing to really figure out for ourselves. But she's obviously very good. Look, we get that increased speed just when we need it. Perfect timing. And hopefully we can go ahead and keep these enemies locked down at least a little bit. I don't think we're going to, though. I'm not gonna lie, that was easily the most impressive performance I showed with her. I was really surprised by that. Now, to be fair, I did a bunch of these runs on stream, and this was easily the most impressive out of all of them. So I don't think she's a top-tier arena champion, but it does go to show she's useful there. There isn't one area where she isn't useful in this game. So, guys, my queen here, Tuhanarak, is just... Tuhanarak? Tuhanarak, I think is how we want to say that, Tuhanarak. She's fantastic. She's just really good in all areas of the game. Now, she's not top tier in any one area. I think her big usefulness is she's good all over the place. You know, if you're talking baseball, she's your all-star utility player. If you're talking basketball, she's your sixth man or your glue guy. If you're talking football, she's the linebacker of the defense. She just kind of makes everything else work. And there's a lot to like about that, you know. I think that's a really important, you know, this is a really important champion to have for your teams. When you can have one champion like this, so you can just kind of plug and play into different areas of the game and make them useful. That makes, you know, it really easy for you to level up, master out, you know, gear out your other champions because you can specify more specifically where you want them to go. She's going to be really good, and I am excited to actually try to put her in a good clan boss team that maximizes all of her skills, and it's tough. It's definitely tough to have her go get the speed boost and go first. It's a challenge, but I'm gonna try and show that to you. Hopefully in the next video I get to do for you guys. But hopefully you got to see Tuhanarak, and get to enjoy. I think the magnificence that is her. Definitely, if you get her, you should be happy about it. She's probably not going to be a crazy account changing champion. But she's going to be super good if you are early, mid-level, even late game, all the way up into the end game. I think she is going to be fantastic for you. I'm really excited. I hope I get to pull her. That's my big hope right there is that I get her. So we'll see how it is. Anyway, I got that game on video down below. If you enjoyed the music, I have the Soundstripe link as well. Hit that subscribe and like button, guys. It means a lot. And as always, till next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.